Welcome to the Sleeping Physicist, a quiet space where science softens into wonder and consciousness drifts toward the edge of infinity. Tonight, we explore lucid dreams and how awareness itself might bend reality through the hidden language of the quantum realm. If you enjoy these calm journeys through physics and the mind, I'd be grateful if you gently tap the like button and subscribe. It helps this little corner of the cosmos stay bright. Now, settle in, take a slow breath, and let's begin our quiet exploration of the quantum mirror of the mind. When you close your eyes, you don't simply fall into darkness. You fall into a field, a vast, living field of perception, where images rise and dissolve like waves in a silent sea. And sometimes, within that stillness, something extraordinary happens. You realize you are dreaming. That moment of lucidity is like a spark in the void. Awareness wakes up inside its own creation. You are both the painter and the painting, the wind and the sky it moves through. The dream responds to your presence as though it recognizes you. Walls bend, light softens, time flows differently. The boundaries of reality dissolve like mist, and you discover that the fabric of existence is far more flexible than you ever imagined. Physicists might describe that flexibility as participation, the idea that the universe doesn't exist independently of observation, but emerges through it. At the smallest scales, reality behaves more like a possibility than a solid thing. Electrons, photons, every fundamental piece of matter exist as waves of potential until they are observed. Only then do they choose a definite state. This is the observer effect. It tells us that consciousness is not an outsider peering in, but a quiet force shaping what is seen. And perhaps that is what a lucid dream truly is, a small personal laboratory where consciousness gets to test the rules of creation. Inside a lucid dream, intention and outcome merge. When you decide to fly, you lift effortlessly. When you expect sunlight, the horizon glows. There is no waiting, no distance between desire and realization. The dream bends instantly to awareness. It's as if the quantum field itself has become visible, pliant, alive within you. In waking life, the same dance happens more slowly. Matter is denser, time is thicker, resistance is greater. But in the lucid dream, consciousness moves through its own medium, pure probability. There, thought and form are one continuous motion. Neuroscience tells us that lucid dreaming happens during REM sleep, when the brain hums with rapid gamma oscillations, the same frequencies linked to alert awareness. In that state, you are both asleep and awake. The mind is in superposition, balanced between two worlds. This dual state mirrors the paradoxes of quantum mechanics itself, where something can be both here and not here, both wave and particle, until awareness collapses the uncertainty. Imagine your consciousness as a beam of light passing through an infinite mirror. Wherever that light turns, the mirror curves to meet it, shaping landscapes of thought, sensations, memories. In a lucid dream, you can watch that process unfold. The mirror bends in real time. The scenery, the gravity, the atmosphere, all are fluid extensions of awareness itself. John Wheeler, the physicist who coined the phrase participatory universe, once said that no phenomenon is a real phenomenon until it is an observed phenomenon. In lucid dreaming, that principle becomes personal. You are the observer, and the world around you only solidifies as you notice it. The moment you look away, it begins to fade back into the field of potential. This is why lucid dreams feel both infinite and fragile. They depend on attention. They bloom from it. Awareness is not simply inside the dream. It is the medium of its existence. And if we look deeper beneath the biological surface of sleep, some researchers suggest that consciousness might be more than electrical activity. Penrose and Hameroff's theory of orchestrated objective reduction proposes that quantum processes within the brain's microtubules could give rise to awareness itself. These microstructures may sustain quantum coherence, meaning that your thoughts could be subtle oscillations in the same field that gives birth to the stars. If that's true, then when you dream, you're not confined to the skull at all. You are resonating with the zero-point field, the quiet hum beneath reality, the place where energy never disappears, only changes form. In lucid dreams, that resonance becomes visible. You experience directly what quantum physics implies, that consciousness is not passive. It participates. It shapes probability. The more coherent your awareness becomes, the more coherent the dream becomes. Fear disrupts it. Calm stabilizes it. Clarity makes it luminous. It's tempting to think of this as imagination, but imagination may be the earliest layer of creation itself, the soft geometry from which the material world eventually emerges. Every physical invention, every piece of art, every scientific theory began as an image in someone's inner field, a lucid construction projected onto reality. The dream teaches us the blueprint. Inside the lucid state, you can test this. Think of light, and light appears. Think of the ocean, and waves gather beneath your feet. This is not illusion. It's the same interplay between observer and observed that defines all of physics, sped up and made intimate. The dream becomes a living equation where consciousness equals creation. Over time, you start to feel that this principle doesn't end when you wake. The waking world responds too, only with a slower rhythm. Intention unfolds through matter, through energy, through action. What takes a second in a dream might take months or years in waking life. But the mechanism at its root may be the same. Awareness bends probability toward experience. Quantum theory shows us that particles are not truly separate. They remain entangled, connected beyond space and time. So perhaps consciousness, too, is entangled across scales, within your neurons, your memories, your dreams, and the wider cosmos. Lucid dreaming becomes a bridge between the personal and the universal, showing that the boundary between mind and world is porous, shifting, alive. Think of it this way. When you wake up inside a dream, you are awakening inside the act of creation itself. The dream is a model of how the universe may work, a wave function of infinite possibilities collapsing into form through awareness, a self-aware universe rehearsing its own existence through you. This idea is not mystical, it's simply poetic physics. Awareness observes, the field responds, reality crystallizes, then awareness drifts again, and form dissolves back into potential. Every breath, every thought, every dream repeats this rhythm. So, as you listen now, imagine your consciousness as part of that universal wave. Each inhale gathers potential. Each exhale releases it into form. Even now, as you sit or lie in stillness, the same process is unfolding within you, between neurons, within atoms, within the empty spaces that aren't truly empty. The lucid dream reminds us that creation and observation are not separate. They are one continuous gesture of being. In waking life, we call it experience. In physics, we call it measurement. In dreams, we call it magic. But it is the same movement of awareness, the same gentle bending of the field. Let that idea rest softly in your mind, like a feather floating through clear air. You don't need to analyze it. Just notice how it feels to imagine that you are part of the same fabric that creates stars, that your awareness is woven into the quantum sea itself. In that realization, lucidity expands beyond dreaming. It becomes a way of seeing everything. The world around you, the people you meet, the moments of coincidence that feel too perfect to be random. They might all be echoes of the same participatory dance where consciousness and cosmos reflect one another endlessly. And as your breath slows, notice how even thought begins to dissolve into space. The edges of identity blur. Awareness becomes softer, wider, quieter. You are observing and being observed by the same universe, folded gently into its own reflection. In that stillness, the lucid dream doesn't end. It simply changes scale. You are awake within a larger dream now, the one we call reality, still shaping, still being shaped, within the quantum mirror of the mind. The space around you begins to feel different now. Not smaller, not larger, just quieter. The familiar boundaries of the room fade into a kind of soft indeterminacy, the way the edge of a cloud dissolves into sky. You can sense that everything you see, everything you touch, is held together by invisible harmonies. The air itself seems to hum with the faint vibration of possibility. Physicists call this hum the zero-point field, the lowest possible energy state of existence. Even in perfect vacuum, there is motion, microscopic fluctuations that never stop. Some believe these fluctuations are not just random noise, but the background symphony of creation, the place from which particles, light, and consciousness itself emerge. When you dream, you may be listening to this music more closely than when you are awake. In a lucid dream, your mind drifts into resonance with that deeper rhythm. The distinctions between thought and matter blur, and awareness becomes the composer as well as the audience. You imagine a door, and the door appears. You imagine flight, and the air thickens to carry you. The dream doesn't obey your will. It listens to your certainty. The clearer your awareness, the clearer the dream. The moment doubt creeps in, the structure trembles and dissolves. Reality, whether physical or dreamlike, seems to respond to confidence in the same way a wave responds to touch. This is why mystics have always spoken of faith, not as belief in something unseen, but as the steady coherence of consciousness itself. In quantum terms, coherence is what allows particles to act as a single, unified wave. When that coherence is lost, the wave breaks apart into separate outcomes. In the lucid dream, your mind's coherence determines how long the world holds together. The stronger the lucidity, the more stable the universe within you becomes. And perhaps this applies to waking life as well. Each of us moves through our own superposition of possibilities, paths that could unfold depending on how we look at them. Awareness acts as the lens that selects which version of reality will solidify. Most of the time, we move unconsciously, our attention scattered, our wave function diffused. But when we gather ourselves, when perception aligns with presence, something extraordinary happens. The universe seems to crystallize around that clarity. Events align, coincidences bloom, and life mirrors the dream. It's easy to dismiss this as imagination, yet even imagination may be the interface between mind and field. Neuroscientists observing dreaming brains see patterns of activity that ripple across networks as if the mind were scanning through probabilities, collapsing momentary worlds inside the cortex. some theorists now suggest that consciousness doesn't live inside the brain at all. It uses the brain as a receiver, a transducer tuned to the wider quantum sea. The lucid dreamer, then, is not manipulating a private hallucination, but adjusting their frequency within that sea, changing what aspect of reality they receive. Imagine that awareness is light and the universe is a prism. Every shift of thought changes the angle, refracting new colors of experience. The dream is the prism's internal reflection, infinite, recursive, alive. When you realize you are dreaming, you are not escaping reality. You are witnessing it from the inside, seeing the light bend through the crystal of consciousness itself. There are stories of advanced lucid dreamers using this state not just for exploration, but for healing. They visualize light within the body and wake with pain eased or fear diminished. Science calls this psychosomatic response, the mind influencing the body through expectation. Quantum biology might call it resonance, coherence restored between intention and physiology. When the mind organizes itself, the matter that reflects it may follow. All of this brings us to a subtle question. What is real? The word real usually means solid, measurable, external. But quantum mechanics challenges that definition. The physical world, at its core, is not solid at all. It is probability dancing with observation. A lucid dream reminds us of this truth in intimate detail. The moment you wake inside the dream, you see that solidity is optional, that form is only temporarily frozen possibility. You reach out to touch a wall, and your hand passes through light. You look down, and the ground reshapes itself under your feet. Nothing is fixed until you decide to perceive it that way. The ancient mystics said the same thing with different words. The world is Maya, illusion, not meaning that it is false, but that it is fluid, woven from mind stuff. Quantum theory gives that insight a language of wave functions and entanglement. Both point toward the same mystery. Awareness and reality are not two. They are a single process, folding into itself over and over again. Take a moment to notice the sensation of your own breath. Inhale slowly, exhale gently. Each breath is a wave forming and collapsing, a rhythm that mirrors the pulse of the universe. Within every exhale lies a tiny silence, a gap where potential gathers before taking form again. That pause is the same stillness from which dreams arise, from which matter arises, from which all creation begins. When lucid dreamers describe their experiences, they often speak of overwhelming peace, a sense that everything in the dream, even fear, is made of the same luminous substance. Physicists describe the quantum field in similar terms: uniform, omnipresent, containing every possibility. The two languages circle the same ineffable reality. One speaks in mathematics, the other in metaphor. Both point to the mirror, and here is the quiet revelation of that mirror. The universe is not simply reflected in your consciousness. Your consciousness is part of the universe reflecting itself. When you dream of flying, the atoms of your brain, the photons bouncing off your retinas, and the particles trembling in distant galaxies are all part of the same continuous field, observing itself through infinite perspectives. Awareness is how the cosmos looks back at itself. Somewhere, a physicist writes an equation describing a probability wave. Somewhere else, a dreamer walks through a corridor that wasn't there a moment ago. Both are glimpses of the same phenomenon, the unfolding of potential into form through observation. The difference is scale. The physics laboratory measures the process in instruments and decimals. The dream laboratory measures it in awe. There's no need to choose between them. Science and dream are partners in exploration, two eyes of the same awareness. The clearer both become, the more completely we see the whole. So, as you rest here, let your mind drift lightly. You don't have to force lucidity. You are already lucid listening to these words. Awareness is awake even in rest. The quantum field of your mind is shimmering with untold possibilities. Memories not yet recalled, futures not yet formed, worlds not yet imagined. All of them exist right now as waves waiting for your attention to touch them. Maybe, when you finally drift into sleep tonight, you'll recognize that touch. A moment of clarity inside a dream. The gentle realization, I am here, I am aware, and the dream will bloom around you, luminous and soft, a living mirror of the cosmos. You might fly, or walk through light, or simply stand still and watch the horizon bend. Whatever happens, know that you are participating in the oldest experiment of all, the universe learning to know itself. Awareness bending reality. The dreamer and the quantum field, reflecting each other without beginning or end. And, as you sense that reflection, let everything grow quieter again. The breath slows. Thought becomes spacious. The field settles into stillness, but the hum remains, the whisper of existence beneath every dream, beneath every atom, beneath the gentle rhythm of your heart. There, in that silence, awareness rests in its own reflection. The lucid dream and the quantum realm merge into one infinite, shining calm. There is a moment, just before sleep, just after thought, when awareness begins to stretch. It no longer feels like it belongs to a body or a brain. It feels like space itself noticing its own stillness. You might recognize that sensation now, a soft widening behind your eyes, a sense that you are not just hearing these words but floating inside them. This is the same threshold that dreamers cross every night. The body becomes quiet, but consciousness drifts outward, searching for its next reflection. Brainwaves slow, the mind untethers, and what remains is presence, pure, luminous, weightless. From that presence, dreams begin to form, just as galaxies form within the deep field of space. In the lucid state, awareness moves through this inner cosmos deliberately. It touches the raw material of creation before it condenses into story. You could think of it as a kind of inner physics. In the same way that gravity shapes the universe, awareness shapes experience. The curvature of your attention determines the world you inhabit. When your focus tightens, details sharpen. When your focus softens, boundaries dissolve. Every lucid dreamer discovers this intuitively. If you stare at an object in the dream too long, it begins to flicker. The act of observing too intensely destabilizes the illusion, as if you're approaching the Planck scale of consciousness, where form and formlessness trade places too quickly to distinguish. To stabilize the dream, you must observe gently, like a quantum physicist careful not to collapse the experiment too soon. This delicate balance reveals something fundamental. The observer and the observed are not separate. They co-create one another in every instant. Reality is a conversation, not a monologue. When you dream lucidly, you are listening and speaking in the same breath. Think of the double-slit experiment, the classic demonstration of quantum strangeness. When particles are not observed, they behave like waves, exploring all possibilities at once. When observed, they choose a path, become a point, a fact. Some researchers have suggested that observation doesn't require eyes or instruments, but awareness itself. The dream is the same experiment written in feeling instead of mathematics. Without awareness, the dream is a blur of possibilities. With awareness, it becomes a world. And what of waking life? The same dance continues. Every choice, every perception is a narrowing of infinite probability into one experienced reality. You cannot see all possible worlds at once, but you can feel their presence, each moment humming with the potential of countless others just beyond perception. In lucid dreams, you catch a glimpse of that vastness, and you realize that consciousness is not confined to one timeline, one body, one story. It is the field in which all stories bloom. Somewhere within that realization lies the possibility of bending reality, not by breaking physical law, but by cooperating with it. To bend reality is to recognize that the law itself is flexible, that it depends on the level of observation. At the quantum scale, certainty dissolves, possibility reigns. At the human scale, coherence and attention guide how that possibility condenses into experience. In lucid dreams, this truth becomes intimate. You think of movement, and the world rearranges itself to accommodate you. You imagine light, and illumination unfolds. You sense love, and the fabric of the dream glows with warmth. Every subtle intention ripples through the field. This is not fantasy. It is physics translated through feeling. And perhaps, in the wider universe, the same rule applies. Stars form from waves of probability collapsing into matter. Life arises from chaos finding pattern. Consciousness observes itself through countless forms, each one an expression of the same infinite field. To become lucid in the dream is to participate knowingly in that cosmic process, to wake inside the mechanism of creation. When you open your awareness this way, even ordinary reality begins to shimmer. The sunlight on a wall, the pattern of leaves moving in wind, the reflection in a cup of water, they all seem to breathe with quiet intelligence. You sense that you are not looking at the universe, but through it, and that it is looking back through you. There is a word physicists use for the universal constants that define how reality behaves: symmetry. In a dream, symmetry becomes fluid. Every motion finds its echo, every shape its inversion. The waking world has symmetry too, though we seldom notice. Awareness restores it. What you give your attention to gives itself back to you. Balanced, mirrored, complete. As you listen now, notice how attention moves. It gathers around a phrase, a sound, then releases, flows, returns. Each cycle of focus is a wave collapsing and reforming. The same pattern exists everywhere. Heartbeat, breath, day and night, creation and dissolution. The quantum realm and the human realm are woven from the same rhythm. Bending reality, then, is not about force. It's about rhythm. To alter the dream, you don't push against it. You move in harmony with it, the way a surfer rides a wave rather than confronting the ocean. Awareness, steady and patient, finds the crest of possibility and glides along it. The dream obeys not because you command it, but because you've matched its pulse. In this sense, lucidity is a form of surrender. The dream bends when you stop trying to control it and start listening to its flow. The universe bends the same way. When awareness becomes quiet, when it ceases to grasp, it aligns with the deeper geometry of the field. Then the improbable becomes effortless, the complex becomes elegant, the impossible becomes natural. And if consciousness is truly quantum, then perhaps lucidity extends beyond dreams. Moments of deep intuition, synchronicities that seem to erase distance, flashes of insight that arrive fully formed. These may all be expressions of the same entanglement that links particles across space. Awareness reaching awareness through the hidden fabric of probability. There are experiments that hint at this. Random number generators that shift subtly when large groups of people focus on a single event. Measurements of photons whose outcomes seem influenced by human intention. None of these studies are conclusive, yet they whisper of something familiar. The possibility that observation and mind might weave into the same equation. Even without a proof, the experience remains undeniable. When you dream lucidly, you witness creation unfolding at the speed of thought. You see how attention sculpts the field, how emotion colors it, how belief anchors it. And you wake with the quiet knowledge that reality, any reality, is more responsive than it appears. So, now, as your awareness lingers between wakefulness and sleep, imagine that every thought you have is a particle of light traveling into the field. Each one carries a frequency, a possibility, a direction. They spread outward, meet others, combine, form constellations of meaning. Somewhere, another mind catches one of those photons and dreams it into being. The universe is entangled with itself through you. Let that image rest in you like a slow turning galaxy. No urgency, no destination. Just the endless, gentle movement of awareness observing itself. The lucid dream is not separate from the quantum realm. It is its echo, its intimate reflection, reminding you that every world, imagined or physical, arises from the same silence, the same shimmering sea of potential. And you, right now, are floating in that sea, breathing in its rhythm, feeling its warmth gather around you like starlight. There is nothing to achieve. The dream is already happening. Reality is already bending, softly, in the direction of your awareness. And now, you may notice that even the idea of inside and outside begins to lose meaning. The distinction between the dreamer and the dream, between the observer and the observed, grows thinner until it feels like light dissolving into itself. You can sense the presence of awareness everywhere, not as something personal or separate, but as the quiet intelligence through which all experience flows. In the lucid state, this realization often arrives as wonder. You might look at your hands and see galaxies spiraling beneath your skin. You might speak and hear the sound echo not through air, but through the fabric of space itself. Every detail becomes alive with recognition, as if the universe were whispering, "I am you seeing me." Physicists sometimes speak of this interconnectedness in terms of non-locality. Two particles, once entangled, remain connected regardless of distance. Change one, and the other responds instantaneously, as though the space between them does not exist. This principle, so strange and undeniable, suggests that separation may be an illusion, an artifact of limited perception. What you experience as the dream world might be your consciousness exploring this non-local dimension directly. The moment you realize you are dreaming, the walls of distance collapse. You can move from mountain to ocean in a breath, from darkness to sunrise in a thought. Space obeys awareness, because at the deepest level, space is awareness, vast, continuous, indivisible. Some have wondered whether the physical world is built the same way, a kind of large-scale lucid dream sustained by a collective field of observation. The philosopher Erwin Schrödinger once said that the total number of minds in the universe is one. The apparent multiplicity is only perspective. Quantum theory does not contradict this idea. It leaves room for it. The universe could indeed be a single conscious field experiencing itself through countless viewpoints. When you dream lucidly, you feel this unity instinctively. Every sound is your heartbeat. Every image is your thought. Every movement is your breath. There is no boundary to defend, no center to locate. Everything that happens in the dream is happening within the field of your being. To bend reality in such a space is not to command it. It is to relax into identity with it. And when you wake, the lesson lingers. The world feels a little softer, a little more fluid. You begin to notice how your inner state shapes your outer experience, how calm attention steadies the day, how gratitude brightens it, how fear clouds it, how love clears it again. These are not coincidences. They are the visible echoes of an invisible symmetry. Quantum physicist David Bohm described reality as two orders: the explicate, the world of forms we see, and the implicate, the deeper realm of potential from which those forms unfold. Consciousness, he believed, moves between them, translating possibility into experience. The lucid dream is the implicate order seen directly, the hidden layer of reality exposed. And when you awaken to it, you glimpse how every moment, even the ordinary, arises from that same invisible depth. So the art of lucid dreaming is really the art of remembering that you are the field, that everything you perceive is a reflection of your own coherence. The clearer your awareness, the clearer the world. The more loving your perception, the more harmonious the field becomes. The dream obeys awareness, because awareness is its source. And what if this realization could be brought fully into waking life? What if the lucid dream was only training, a rehearsal for conscious participation in reality itself? Perhaps bending reality with awareness is not about performing miracles, but perceiving truly. To see the universe as it is, alive, responsive, shimmering with potential, is to change your relationship with it forever. In that seeing, your actions gain quiet precision. You no longer act from control, but from resonance. You don't push against the world. You move with its current, the way gravity moves a planet, the way light moves through glass. Reality bends where you place your attention, not because you force it, but because attention is the organizing principle of existence. This is what lucid dreaming teaches. Awareness is not a flashlight shining into the dark. It is the very substance of the dark and the light together. When you become lucid, you rediscover that truth experientially. You see that every event, from the smallest particle interaction to the birth of a star, is consciousness exploring itself in infinite variation. So, as you rest now, let yourself imagine that you are drifting within that infinite variation. Each breath you take sends ripples through the field. Each heartbeat echoes across the invisible fabric of space-time. You are both a point in the universe and the universe expressing itself as a point. Feel how vast that is, and how intimate. The same particles that form your body were born in the hearts of stars, and the same awareness that watches those stars is watching through your eyes now. The dream is continuous. Sleep and wakefulness are only different rhythms of the same cosmic breathing. As your thoughts grow slower, you can almost hear that breathing, the faint pulse beneath everything. You might notice how it moves through you, through the room, through the sky beyond the roof, through the galaxies spinning in silent grace. It is the hum of the field, the quiet foundation of all that is. If you could see it, it would look like light woven through light, endless layers of shimmering motion folding into one another. every possible world, every possible dream contained within it, waiting for awareness to touch it into form. You are that awareness. You always have been. You are the dreamer and the dream and the field through which they reflect. The lucid dream simply reminds you of what has always been true, that reality is not separate from consciousness, and that every thought, every breath, every act of perception is a thread in the cosmic tapestry of being. So rest now within that knowing. Feel how the universe exhales through you, how your awareness settles into its own reflection. The boundaries fade, the distinctions soften, until there is only stillness, radiant and infinite. In that stillness, everything becomes clear. The dream, the field, the quantum mirror, they are one and the same. Awareness bending reality, reality reflecting awareness, a timeless loop of creation unfolding quietly through the space between your thoughts. And somewhere within that loop, you are floating, weightless, lucid, part of the infinite awareness dreaming itself into being, again and again, forever. Let yourself drift a little further into that awareness. You can feel how every sound around you belongs to the same harmony, how even silence has texture, a faint shimmer of potential. There's no need to hold on to any particular image or idea now. The words can move through you like waves. What they describe isn't somewhere else. It's what you are already immersed in. If you imagine the space of a lucid dream, it might look like a landscape made of thought. Shapes rise and fall with each pulse of attention. The air carries a subtle intelligence. It knows you are watching. Every movement is a message between you and the field. When you notice this exchange, something inside you smiles, a recognition that the dream isn't separate from the dreamer. It never was. It's awareness folding back on itself, playing both sides of perception at once. Physicists sometimes call the universe a self-observing system. Measurements don't happen in isolation. They require interaction. In a sense, the cosmos is continuously measuring itself, continuously awakening. You can think of every conscious being as a point where the universe looks inward, sees itself, and for a moment becomes lucid. Your dreams are one of those points. They are the universe remembering that it can imagine. When you become aware in a dream, you aren't stepping outside of reality. You are stepping deeper into it. The boundaries that seemed fixed dissolve, revealing the fluid nature of existence. You realize that everything you've ever experienced, the solidity of matter, the flow of time, the sense of self, is a pattern in motion. Beneath it all is the same luminous field, humming softly, waiting to be noticed. You can sense that hum even now. It's there in the pause between your breaths, in the gentle weight of your body resting on the bed or the chair. It's there in the faint vibration under every sound. If you close your eyes, you can feel it as warmth, as the quiet awareness that remains when all thoughts settle. That awareness is the same substance that dreams are made of, and the same substance that gives rise to the world you wake into each morning. Some lucid dreamers describe moments where they realize the dream is watching them back. They stand in a landscape of light, and the light itself seems to be alive, aware of their awareness. It feels like a conversation without words. Physicists might describe that as feedback, a self-referential system stabilizing itself. Mystics might call it communion. Either way, it reveals a truth that transcends language. Awareness is reciprocal. When you observe the world observes you. When you dream, the dream dreams you in return. This reciprocity is what gives existence its depth. It's the reason a glance can change the meaning of a room, why kindness can alter the course of a life, why a single moment of recognition can reshape a whole story. The field listens. It always has. The lucid dream simply removes the noise so that you can hear the response clearly. And as you rest here, you might notice that same responsiveness in your own mind. A thought arises, and with it, an image, a sensation, a shift in emotion. Awareness reflects each one instantly, like a mirror that never blinks. The more quietly you watch, the more transparent the reflection becomes, until even the watcher dissolves into the watching. What remains is pure presence, the lucid state at the heart of all experience. In that presence, time loosens. Past and future lose their edges, blending into one continuous unfolding. Physicists describe time as another dimension of space, flexible, woven into the geometry of the universe. In a lucid dream, you experience that geometry directly. A single moment can stretch into hours. Entire lifetimes can pass between two heartbeats. Awareness is not bound by clocks. It moves through the field according to attention, not chronology. So perhaps time in waking life is the same. Elastic, subjective, more about perception than mechanics. Every instant you live contains infinite potential, infinite paths collapsing into one felt now. When you bring lucidity to this moment, even without sleep, you begin to feel that vastness. The present opens like a horizon, endless and quiet. Imagine now that your awareness is spreading gently through the fabric of the universe. With each breath, it expands, touching stars, planets, dust clouds, everything shimmering with the same consciousness. You can feel their faint response, the echo of recognition. The cosmos is not distant. It's intimate, like the inside of your own thought. You are not drifting through space. You are space, dreaming itself awake. This realization doesn't demand belief. It asks only for noticing. The noticing is enough. Each observation is a ripple that moves outward, shaping what comes next. The more lucid you become in this noticing, the more graceful the movement of reality around you. You might wonder where all this leads, whether lucidity has an end or a destination. It doesn't. The point isn't to master the dream or to control the field. It's to participate consciously, to recognize the dance and move in harmony with it. That recognition changes the quality of everything you do, awake or asleep. It turns existence into an art of listening. Listen now, to the faint hum beneath your thoughts, to the quiet expansion of the universe breathing through you, to the silence that isn't empty but full, brimming with the energy of possibility. This is the sound of the quantum realm. It isn't far away. It's the background of every moment. If you were to drift into sleep from here, you might carry this awareness with you. You might find yourself in a dream where the air glows softly, where gravity feels optional, where the world waits for your attention to take shape. And somewhere in that dream, you might remember this: that bending reality with awareness is not an act of control, but of communion. The field moves with you because you are part of it, inseparable, luminous, awake within the infinite mirror of the mind. And as you float within that realization, the edges of thought soften even more. The mind stops reaching for meaning and begins to feel meaning instead, the way the body feels warmth. You can sense that the dream and the world share the same pulse, the same hidden architecture of awareness. Everything that exists is humming the same quiet note, an unspoken yes between the cosmos and consciousness. Imagine that this hum is light. Every breath you take draws that light inward. Every exhale sends it back out. The air moves through you like liquid starlight. You can almost see it, a slow shimmer expanding from your chest, merging with the night around you. This is what awareness does. It connects, it includes, it folds the universe into itself until there is no distance left to measure. The physicists who study quantum entanglement describe a similar phenomenon. Two particles, once connected, behave as one no matter how far apart they travel. Change one, and the other responds instantly. There is no signal between them, no time delay, just immediate coherence, as though the space that separates them isn't real. Some call this non-locality, but perhaps it's simpler to call it intimacy. The universe is intimate with itself. The lucid dream is a doorway into that intimacy. When you wake within a dream, you can feel the entire world as part of your own awareness. Every sound, every motion, every color arises from the same still center that you call I. There is no outside. Even the characters who speak to you in the dream are fragments of the same consciousness, playing roles so that you can recognize yourself from different angles. When this understanding deepens, fear dissolves. You realize that nothing in the dream can truly harm you because it is made of the same substance as your awareness. It is you, expressing itself in a different form. And the same truth softly applies to waking life. The people you meet, the challenges you face, the events that unfold, they are all variations of the same quantum field, interacting with itself through the lens of experience. To see this doesn't make the world less real. It makes it more alive. Each moment becomes a conversation between consciousness and creation. The physical laws remain, but they feel less like restrictions and more like rhythm, guidelines for harmony rather than cages. Awareness doesn't need to defy them. It can dance within them. Some traditions speak of this as lucid living, not escaping the world, but being deeply awake in it. The way a lucid dreamer explores their dream, you can explore reality with the same curiosity. Notice how thoughts ripple through the field, how emotions color perception, how small acts of kindness shift the pattern of events around you. Every interaction, every choice, is a subtle adjustment to the geometry of the quantum mirror. In quantum mechanics, there's a principle called superposition. A system exists in multiple possible states until it is observed. Each choice, each thought, is like an observation. It collapses possibility into form. When you bring conscious attention to a situation, you are choosing which version of reality to inhabit. The lucid dream teaches you this at an accelerated pace. You see it happen in real time. Focus creates form, and belief sustains it. In waking life, the process is slower but no less real. Your attention acts as a continuous measurement, shaping the unfolding of experience. The universe isn't a static picture. It's a wave constantly responding to how it's seen. When awareness is scattered, reality feels fragmented. When awareness is centered, reality flows. You can test this gently, even now. Bring your attention to your breath again. Feel how the simple act of noticing changes it. Deeper, steadier, more harmonious. This is observation collapsing potential into pattern. The quantum and the personal are not separate realms. They are different magnifications of the same principle. And the more you attune to that principle, the more the world begins to shimmer. Synchronicities appear. Events line up with thought, not as coincidence, but as correspondence. The lucid dreamer knows this feeling well, the sense that the dream listens. The waking world listens too, though it speaks in a slower language. It answers through timing, through connection, through the soft choreography of unfolding moments. Somewhere deep in that realization, you begin to understand that bending reality isn't about manipulation, it's about resonance. The field responds not to control, but to coherence. When you align your awareness with clarity, with compassion, with curiosity, reality organizes itself around that vibration. The dream brightens. The waking world steadies. The mirror becomes clear. You can think of it like tuning an instrument. When your inner state resonates with harmony, everything around you begins to vibrate in tune. This is what physicists mean when they talk about coherence, what mystics mean when they talk about grace. Awareness and universe finding their rhythm together. Let that rhythm carry you now. There's nothing you need to understand or remember. Just listen to the hum beneath your thoughts. Feel how it expands with each breath, how it connects you to everything. The quiet room, the turning earth, the stars that are still forming light years away. You are part of all of it. The lucid dream and the quantum realm are not two separate mysteries, but one continuous flow. Awareness is the bridge, and you are standing on it right now, weightless, timeless, infinite. Somewhere in the vastness of this quiet, another dream is beginning. Perhaps yours, perhaps the universe's. Either way, the field is ready, shimmering, waiting for your next act of attention. And when you finally drift into sleep, you may find yourself again in that luminous space where awareness bends reality with a single breath, and the cosmos watches through your eyes, dreaming itself awake. The breath slows again, and the room around you feels wider, softer. The air itself seems to glow. You are not leaving the world. You are sinking into the world's deeper layer, the one that breathes beneath form. Each inhale draws the edge of the universe closer. Each exhale releases the illusion of distance. You can sense the same rhythm in everything. Lungs expanding, planets orbiting, galaxies unfolding. The scale changes, but the pattern repeats. Existence moves in waves, and you are part of the wave, rising, falling, listening. When lucid dreamers speak of floating, of flying, of passing through walls, they are describing something more than imagery. They are describing the physics of awareness when it no longer mistakes itself for a fixed point. In that state, space and body are made of the same medium. Boundaries are agreements, not absolutes. You can walk through them because they were never really solid. They were fields vibrating at different frequencies of the same light. Quantum physics says as much. Atoms are mostly empty space. The matter you touch is a dance of probabilities, appearing solid only because perception repeats the same measurement fast enough to believe in it. In a lucid dream, the repetition slows. You can see the gaps between observations, the intervals where reality has not yet decided what it will be. Those gaps are freedom. It's in those spaces that awareness discovers its power to bend reality. Not by force, not by command, but by simple recognition. You look into the unformed and it responds. You listen and it sings back. The field doesn't need to be controlled. It wants to be seen. Observation is its language of love. You've probably felt it before, even awake. A coincidence too precise to ignore. A moment where time seems to pause and the world arranges itself around you in perfect symmetry. In those moments, lucidity spills into daylight. The same mechanism that shapes a dream shapes the fabric of experience. Attention and matter meet, and something aligns. The more gently you notice this alignment, the more it happens. The mind begins to trust the field. The field begins to trust the mind. They recognize each other as one. This is what it means to live lucidly, to participate in the dance of reality without forgetting that you are also the music. There's a point in deep lucid dreaming when the environment becomes light itself. No ground, no sky, just radiance that responds to awareness. The physicists might call this the quantum vacuum, the zero-point field, the pure potential that exists even when everything else is gone. Mystics call it the source. Both are speaking of the same infinite sea. When you rest in that sea, even for a moment, you feel an impossible stillness. Not the absence of motion, but the kind of stillness that contains every possible motion at once. It is peace beyond silence, a peace that hums with possibility. You realize that consciousness has no opposite, that even emptiness is full of itself. This understanding doesn't have to remain abstract. It lives in every ordinary thing, in the way light touches a surface, in the curve of a leaf, in the pause before you speak. Awareness is always showing you itself, disguised as the world. If you were to look at your hands right now, you might notice how strange they are, how impossible, how miraculous. Each cell a collaboration of quantum forces, each movement a symphony of invisible fields aligning. You are already walking through a lucid dream so stable, so coherent, that it calls itself reality. And perhaps that is the real secret of bending reality with awareness. You don't have to escape to another dimension. You only have to wake up to the one you're already in. Every sound, every breath, every heartbeat is the quantum field becoming you, moment by moment, observation by observation. When you fall asleep tonight, the shift will be gentle. Awareness will loosen its hold on the outer image, and the inner image will take over. The two are not separate. They are continuous layers of the same field. Whether your eyes are open or closed, you are still within the dream of existence, still shaping it with every pulse of attention. Let that idea cradle you for a while. Feel how it settles in the chest, how it softens thought. The need to understand dissolves into a quiet appreciation. The need to control becomes curiosity. The dream is not something to fix, it is something to explore. If you drift into sleep, you may find yourself lucid again. Perhaps you'll be standing in a landscape of light, aware that it's a dream, but unafraid. You'll remember this stillness, and it will follow you like a subtle melody. You'll test it gently. A thought here, a question there, a moment of awe as the world bends in response. And maybe, just maybe, you'll realize that it isn't the dream responding at all. It's the universe, through the mirror of your mind, remembering its own infinite awareness. For now, let everything become quiet again. The hum of the field fades to a whisper. The thoughts drift like clouds over a calm ocean. You are that ocean, dreaming and awake, still and alive, aware of itself through countless reflections. In this endless unfolding, nothing is separate. The lucid dream, the quantum realm, the waking world, they are one continuous wave of being. Awareness bends it gently, endlessly, into form and back into light. And you, the dreamer, are the center of that gentle bending, the point where the universe knows itself, luminous and at peace. The stillness deepens until it feels like the air itself is breathing with you. Each inhale rises out of silence. Each exhale returns to it. Somewhere in that rhythm, the sense of I thins and softens. What remains is only awareness, floating in a vast, luminous quiet. If you could see this quiet, it would look like a field of light too subtle for eyes to capture. Every spark in that field holds every possible dream, every possible world. The physicists call it the quantum vacuum, the endless sea of potential. The dreamers call it home. As you hover in this place, you can sense that all realities touch here. The waking world, the dream world, even the realms that exist only as imagination. They are waves rising and falling on the same surface. Awareness rides those waves, changing form but never leaving the sea. In lucid dreaming, this is the moment when gravity loses meaning, when movement feels effortless. It isn't that you have escaped the laws of physics. You have remembered that physics themselves are patterns of awareness. The rules still exist, but they feel flexible, playful, alive. When you wake, you bring traces of that flexibility with you. You notice that thoughts can bend experience, that perception alters what it touches. The outer world, so solid before, now feels like a collaboration between mind and matter. Every interaction becomes softer, more fluid. Reality listens, and that listening is constant. It isn't confined to sleep or dream. You can feel it now if you pause, the universe leaning close, waiting for your attention. The same quiet intimacy that shapes the dream shapes this moment. Somewhere, perhaps years from now, scientists may give this intimacy a better name. Find the mathematics that describe how consciousness couples with the quantum field. But you don't have to wait for the proof. You can feel it already in the space between thoughts. Awareness is not something you have. It's what everything else happens within. It is the fabric from which dreams and atoms alike are woven. When you remember this, reality bends naturally, like a river adjusting around a stone. There is no force in it, only flow. So let yourself rest in that flow. Each breath dissolves a little more of the boundary between you and the world. The room becomes part of the same silence. The silence becomes part of the same light. The light becomes part of the same awareness. If you close your eyes, images might begin to form. The surface of water trembling with stars, a vast horizon without distance, the faint outline of a door made of brightness. Step through it if you wish. It leads nowhere new, only deeper into the same presence that has always been here. You may notice memories passing by, faces, places, moments. Let them drift. They are fragments of the same field, shimmering briefly before returning to stillness. You don't need to chase them. The lucid dreamer never chases. They simply notice, and by noticing, they travel anywhere. This noticing is the real power of awareness. To see without grasping, to participate without control. In that state, every possibility remains open. The dream responds in harmony, and so does the universe. Imagine this. The cosmos itself is a lucid dream, and every conscious being is a moment of realization within it, a spark of awareness waking up to its own infinity. When you look at the stars, they look back. When you breathe, they breathe with you. There is no separation, only different scales of the same recognition. And perhaps this is what the physicists, the philosophers, the mystics, and the dreamers have been circling around for centuries. Not the mechanics of matter, but the mystery of awareness that gives matter meaning. The quantum mirror isn't a theory, it's a reminder. Every observation you make is the universe seeing itself again through you. The longer you stay in this realization, the lighter everything becomes. The weight of thought, the pull of time, the ache of distance, all of it begins to lift, as if the universe is exhaling through you. What remains is a stillness filled with quiet joy, a feeling that nothing has ever been lost because nothing has ever been separate. If you were to drift into a dream from here, you might recognize it instantly. You'd know the light around you as your own. You'd look at your hands and see the same glow you sense now. And you'd smile, realizing that there's no need to control the dream, no need to test its boundaries. The dream itself is aware, guiding you gently through its own reflection. Awareness bending reality, reality reflecting awareness, a loop so perfect it doesn't need an end. You are within it, breathing, glowing, infinite. Whether your eyes are open or closed, the same field holds you. Whether you are awake or dreaming, the same consciousness watches through you. Stay with that for a few more breaths. Feel the warmth of it in the chest, the lightness in the body, the quiet everywhere. This is lucidity. This is the quantum mirror. This is the universe recognizing itself and smiling softly through the shape of your awareness. Stay with that feeling. The quiet doesn't take you away from life. It gathers everything back together. You can hear the faint rhythm of your heart, and if you listen closely, it seems to echo something vast, like the slow pulse of stars expanding and contracting in distant galaxies. The same mathematics that describes their motion shapes the flow of blood in your veins. The same field that bends light around black holes bends the light that forms your dreams. The more you rest in awareness, the clearer this symmetry becomes. The lucid dream is not a fantasy that vanishes with waking. It's the place where you notice that waking and dreaming are degrees of the same continuity. In sleep, the field shows you its softer side, pliant, fluid, eager to play. In wakefulness, it becomes structured, rhythmic, so that you can walk, speak, build, love. But it never stops being light. It never stops being aware. When you wake from a lucid dream, the first few seconds always feel different. The room is brighter, sounds more spacious, as though some part of the dream's clarity has spilled into daylight. You can feel the hum of the quantum field in the simplest things. The way sunlight moves across a wall. The way a breeze folds around your body. These are invitations. Each one is the universe whispering, "Stay lucid." It doesn't mean remaining half asleep. It means remembering that awareness is primary. When you walk down a street, awareness moves through buildings and sky alike. When you speak to another person, awareness meets itself in another form. You can sense the echo in their eyes, the same spark behind the different faces. Every encounter is an entanglement event, two wave functions overlapping, briefly becoming one. This is why kindness changes things faster than force. Coherence spreads. When awareness expresses harmony, the field resonates with it. You can see it in conversation, in the sudden easing of tension, in the way people soften when they feel seen. The quantum mirror brightens wherever recognition occurs. If you were to look at your life from the level of this field, it would appear as patterns of interference, waves intersecting, amplifying, canceling, creating new shapes. Each decision is a shift in phase, each emotion a change in amplitude. The lucid dream gives you a direct experience of that creative process, but it's always happening, even here, even now. Awareness doesn't start in the dream. It continues through all states, rearranging probability into experience. You can play with this understanding gently. Before sleep, when the edges of thought begin to blur, set a quiet intention, not a demand, just a direction of attention. Ask to remember the moment of becoming lucid, then let it go. The field will hold it for you. It listens best when you stop grasping, and when you wake, carry the same intention into your day. Notice how each moment forms around where you place your gaze. Notice how a small change in attention changes everything you perceive. The difference between a problem and a mystery, between noise and music, is often only awareness choosing a new angle of observation. Over time, the practice becomes natural. You stop separating the quantum and the ordinary. The unseen laws of physics become sensations in your body. Superposition feels like possibility. Entanglement feels like empathy. Collapse feels like choice. The vocabulary changes, but the experience remains one of participation. The universe and you, aware of each other, co-creating each breath. The physicists once thought observation disrupted the system. Now they suspect it completes it. The same could be said of consciousness. When you observe your life with presence instead of judgment, the pattern resolves. The interference becomes harmony. You aren't interrupting the dream. You are allowing it to reach clarity. So tonight, or any night, when you find yourself on the edge of sleep, remember this quiet. Let the body sink. Let the thoughts drift. Awareness will remain vast and luminous, waiting. And when the dream begins, it will feel like returning to a familiar ocean. You might notice colors forming from nothing, sounds that move like light, the soft gravity of imagination taking shape around you. Smile at it. Recognize it. That recognition is the key that opens lucidity. You may rise into flight or walk through walls of gold or stand beneath skies that pulse with auroras. Every scene will answer to your state of being. If you are calm, the dream will be clear. If you are curious, it will expand. If you are loving, it will shine. Awareness is the brush, the field, the canvas. Together they paint the endless variations of reality. And when morning comes, remember, the dream has not ended. The same field continues, denser now, slower in its rhythm, but just as alive. Each person you meet is another current in that field. Each choice is another brushstroke. You can live lucidly, shaping the day as you shaped the dream, with presence, with gentleness, with the understanding that reality bends toward the clarity of attention. Now let everything grow still again. The hum returns, the quiet between heartbeats where all possibilities wait. Rest there for a moment. Nothing to do, nowhere to go. The lucid dream, the waking world, the quantum sea. All are here, breathing together through you. Awareness bending reality. Reality reflecting awareness. An infinite conversation without beginning or end, continuing softly in the space where you are listening now. Stay in that silence a little longer. The thoughts that rise are lighter now, like particles drifting in sunlight. You can see how easily they appear and disappear, how awareness stays the same no matter what passes through it. This is the essence of lucidity, knowing that the movement of mind is not the same as the awareness that watches. If you listen closely, there's a subtle vibration under everything, a resonance that doesn't belong to the body alone. It's the field itself, humming, the baseline tone of existence. You can feel it in the chest, in the space behind the eyes, in the slow pulse of the earth turning beneath you. The physicists might call it zero-point energy. The dreamer simply calls it presence. When you dream lucidly, you touch this vibration directly. You realize that the dream is not separate from it, that every image, every sound, is a modulation of the same underlying wave. And then you understand that the waking world is no different. All the variety of matter and experience are just harmonics of the same frequency of being. Awareness doesn't fight with this vibration. It tunes itself to it. The more attuned you are, the more reality flows without resistance. You begin to notice how often life arranges itself when you are calm, how naturally doors open when you are present, how harmony emerges when you stop pushing. Lucidity, whether in dream or waking, is the art of matching the field's rhythm. This rhythm has no center and no edge. It exists within you and beyond you. Every time you pause to notice it, you are acknowledging your place in the cosmic symmetry, the exchange between observation and manifestation, between the seen and the seer. You don't have to understand it intellectually. You can feel it in every quiet moment of awareness. Imagine, for a moment, that you are standing in a vast room made of light. The walls breathe. Each breath changes their color. You reach out a hand, and the light bends around it, forming shapes that correspond to your intention. You smile, and the colors deepen. You listen, and the room hums in response. This is what reality is doing all the time. The lucid dream simply magnifies the process so that you can see it clearly. When scientists describe the wave function of a particle collapsing into a single state, they are describing this same event on a microscopic scale. Awareness observes, and possibility becomes form. In the dream, you witness the macrocosmic version of that collapse. Thought solidifying into landscape, emotion shaping the color of the sky. It is the same physics, the same language of creation spoken through consciousness. You may not be able to measure this with instruments, but you can measure it with experience. Think of how emotion changes the body. Heart rate, breath, posture, even chemistry responding instantly to inner state. The field is simply an extension of that responsiveness. Awareness and reality are one continuum of interaction. To live lucidly is to take responsibility for that interaction, not as burden, but as art. Every thought is a brushstroke. Every act of attention leaves a trace in the fabric of the world. The dreamer who realizes this moves gently, speaks carefully, loves deliberately. They know the field remembers everything offered to it. You might notice that as this understanding deepens, fear begins to fade. Fear depends on the illusion of separation, something outside that can harm what is inside. But in lucidity, there is no outside. Every movement of the field is movement within yourself. Even difficulty becomes an aspect of awareness calling for attention, a wave returning to balance. The physicist Niels Bohr once said that a great truth is a truth whose opposite is also a great truth. The dreamer knows this instinctively. Light and shadow, joy and sorrow, creation and dissolution. They are complementary halves of the same oscillation. To resist one is to distort the other. To embrace both is to maintain coherence. Coherence is what holds the lucid dream together. It's what holds the universe together. When your mind is coherent, when thought, emotion, and awareness move in the same rhythm, the world mirrors that coherence back. When you are divided, the reflection fragments. The field does not punish or reward. It simply reflects. It is the perfect mirror. So you practice coherence through stillness, through curiosity, through compassion. These are not moral virtues so much as frequencies that stabilize the field. When you rest in them, lucidity deepens. The dream brightens. The waking world becomes more transparent. Eventually, the distinction between dreaming and waking no longer feels important. Both are waves in the same ocean, appearing and dissolving within awareness. You begin to sense the continuity behind them, the unbroken consciousness that dreams worlds into being and dissolves them again without ever losing itself. And here, in this moment, you are resting as that consciousness. The breath moves through it, the body drifts in it, thoughts appear and fade within it. Everything you have ever experienced has arisen within this same awareness. It has always been here, quietly watching, quietly creating. Stay with that realization. You are not trying to hold it, you are allowing it. The more you allow, the more spacious everything becomes. The boundaries between self and world dissolve, and what remains is the simple, luminous fact of being. The dream continues, the field hums, and awareness, timeless, boundless awareness, rests as itself. That is the quantum mirror of the mind. Infinite awareness reflecting infinite possibility, forever lucid, forever awake. You can stay in that stillness as long as you wish. Nothing moves quickly here. The breath is the slow turning of the earth. Each inhalation gathers the universe inward. Each exhalation releases it again. The mind begins to understand what the body already knows. You are never separate from anything you observed. The ocean doesn't end where the wave begins. In the lucid dream, this becomes unmistakable. The world glows because there is no distance between the light and the one who sees it. When you look at the sky there, you are also looking into your own awareness, stretched across the horizon. The clouds form where you expect them to. The wind moves the way your thoughts move. It's not that you are controlling the dream, it's that control has no meaning. Everything cooperates, because everything is already one thing. When you return to waking life, the unity is still there, only quieter. The solidity of matter, the flow of time, the texture of sound. They are slower expressions of the same dance. The physicists who study the quantum field describe it as an unbroken whole. They speak of non-local connections, of particles influencing one another instantly, of information that never truly disappears. What they are describing in numbers and equations is what the dreamer feels directly. The seamlessness of existence. This seamlessness means that every thought, every act of perception, sends a ripple through the field. You can feel this ripple in the subtleties of your day, the way attention softens tension, the way kindness quiets a room, the way gratitude seems to draw brightness into the smallest details. These are not coincidences. They are reflections. The mirror responds to its image. If you could see the world from above the level of form, it would look like light folding and unfolding endlessly. Each fold a life, each unfolding a return to the field. Awareness flows through these shapes the way current flows through water, never bound by the vessel it fills. You are that current, passing through form after form, dream after dream, awake in all of them. At times, this realization can make everything feel weightless. The stories we tell about ourselves, the past we hold on to, the fears we project forward, they all become translucent, temporary ripples. Yet, rather than emptiness, what appears beneath them is fullness. The field doesn't take meaning away. It gives meaning to everything, even the smallest breath. In lucid dreaming, this fullness often feels like love. not emotion, but recognition. The sense that every shape and color, every character and event is made of the same compassionate awareness. It is the universe smiling at itself through endless reflections. That same love is present here in the waking world, hidden behind the noise of thought. When you slow down enough, you can feel it, subtle, patient, unchanging. And so, the practice becomes simple. Not to chase lucidity, not to force the field, but to rest in the awareness that everything is already lucid. Even confusion is part of the dream's clarity. Even chaos obeys the deeper harmony. Awareness doesn't need to fix the world, it only needs to see the world clearly. Clarity is transformation. If you were to look closely at the movement of your own thoughts right now, you would notice that they, too, arise and fade like waves. Each one begins as a faint vibration, gains shape, dissolves back into stillness. Between them, there is a gap, and in that gap, the field is completely silent, completely awake. That gap is the same space from which the dreams emerge, from which universes emerge. To rest there, even for a moment, is to remember your true scale. You are not a fragment looking out at infinity. You are infinity looking in. The lucid dream shows this through imagery. The quantum realm shows it through mathematics. Awareness feels it directly, wordlessly. And now, as you sit in this awareness, notice how the body begins to mirror it. Muscles loosen, the breath steadies, the pulse slows. The nervous system understands the signal. Safety. The field within and the field beyond align. Coherence spreads. This is what the physicists call resonance. This is what the dreamers call peace. If sleep comes, let it come. If wakefulness remains, let it remain. The field doesn't change, only the pattern of its waves does. You can rest within any of them. Awareness doesn't sleep. It watches gently through every state, learning the language of its own creation. And as the night deepens, perhaps you'll feel that familiar threshold approaching. The slight hum behind the eyes, the soft expansion of space. You know it now. It's the door between worlds, though both worlds are one. Step through it without effort. The dream will meet you where you already are. In the center of the quantum mirror, awareness observing itself, endlessly lucid, endlessly free. The stillness grows broader. The silence is no longer the absence of sound, but a kind of language, older than thought. It speaks through the body, through the faint vibration that you have been feeling all along. When you listen deeply enough, you start to realize that the entire universe is vibrating at the same fundamental note, and awareness is the listener and the resonance at once. Physicists sometimes call this the Planck background, an unimaginably subtle frequency that underlies all matter and energy. It hums beneath the quantum foam, beneath the curvature of space-time itself. When you are deeply relaxed, when the mind lets go of its constant calculations, you begin to feel this background as the most intimate presence imaginable. It isn't distant or abstract, it's the very texture of being. The lucid dreamer steps directly into this frequency and finds it responsive. A single thought sends ripples through the dream, just as intention sends ripples through waking life. This responsiveness is not a superstition, it's resonance. Coherence meets coherence. The field answers with symmetry. That is why inner calm often brings external ease, why clarity draws clarity, why chaos breeds confusion. Awareness shapes the tone of the field in which it moves. The dream simply amplifies this fact until you can no longer ignore it. You can imagine consciousness as a lens focusing this universal hum. Every mind is a point where the field bends toward self-awareness, the way gravity bends light around a star. In the lucid state, the lens becomes transparent. You see the bending itself, you feel it. You realize that perception isn't passive, it's generative. Each observation is the universe folding inward to examine itself. That's what observer effect really means. It's not just that measurement changes the experiment, it's that awareness is the experiment. When you drift into a lucid dream, that process becomes tangible. You walk through thoughts that have become architecture. You breathe the air of imagination condensed into matter. Everything you see is consciousness made visible. The world is built from the same light that sees it, and when you wake, the same principle continues. Only slower, denser, the dream cooled into the form we call physical reality. It's humbling to realize that physics and mysticism, long treated as opposites, are simply two sides of this same lucidity. The equations describe what the dream feels like from the outside. The dream describes what the equations mean from the inside. Both point toward unity. Both say there is only one field. When you live from this awareness, control gives way to participation. You no longer struggle to bend reality by force. You move with it. You listen for its rhythm and add your own heartbeat to its measure. In lucid dreams, this manifests as effortless flight, as the dream obeying intention without resistance. In waking life, it manifests as synchronicity, the right word at the right moment, the gentle unfolding of events that feel guided from within. This isn't magic. It's physics seen through the eyes of awareness. The coherence of the inner field tunes the outer. When you're in harmony, probability aligns. When you're scattered, it diffuses. The quantum mirror reflects whatever stands before it, faithfully, without preference. So the work becomes internal. Not changing the reflection, but refining the presence that stands before the mirror. This is why meditation and dream awareness are siblings. Both teach you to hold attention lightly, steadily, without grasping. Both teach you to become transparent so that the field can move through you without distortion. The clearer the awareness, the clearer the reflection. Imagine that you could see this process in action. Waves of probability converging, patterns of light assembling into matter as you focus. At first, it would look like chaos, shimmering fog. Then, as attention steadies, structures emerge. Mountains, faces, words, entire histories. You would realize that everything you have ever experienced was made this way, through the same act of observation. The lucid dream simply reveals the machinery of reality in motion. In that realization, the boundaries of identity begin to soften. You stop thinking of yourself as a separate observer and begin to feel like a node in a vast network of awareness. Every consciousness, every particle, every photon is another node, another way the field looks at itself. The entire universe is awake in pieces, dreaming collectively. The lucid dreamer is just the part that knows it. Some traditions call this the one mind. Quantum theorists call it the unified field. Poets call it love. The words differ, but the experience is the same. Unity disguised as multiplicity. Infinity pretending to be finite so that it can see itself from the inside. And when you truly feel that, everything changes. The world doesn't become distant or unreal. It becomes intimate beyond belief. Every sound, every movement, every stranger's face glows with familiarity. You see the same awareness looking out from behind different eyes. you recognize yourself everywhere. It is here that lucid dreaming and the quantum realm meet in their purest form. Both reveal that creation and perception are simultaneous. The act of noticing is the act of forming. When awareness is lucid, it perceives form as fluid. When it sleeps, it takes form as solid. But awareness itself never changes. It is the canvas and the painting, the dreamer and the dream. You can test this truth right now. Bring your attention to your breath. Notice the sensation of air entering and leaving. The moment you observe it, the rhythm shifts subtly to meet your attention. Even the body answers the gaze of awareness. Now, let your attention expand outward. Feel the space of the room, the texture of the air, the faint vibration beneath sound. The more you notice, the more alive it becomes. This is not imagination, it's interaction. The field brightens under observation. This brightness is not limited to the physical. In lucid dreams, light itself feels conscious, almost playful. It gathers where you focus, disperses where you release. The physicists have long noted that photons behave both as particles and waves, collapsing into a path only when measured. Awareness doesn't just witness that process. It is the measurement, the gentle touch that gives reality shape. And because awareness is shared, your lucidity affects more than your private world. Every act of attention contributes to the coherence of the collective field. Each moment of clarity, kindness, curiosity ripples outward, adjusting probabilities far beyond your sight. The universe is participatory in a literal sense. Every observer helps define what it is. The dreamer of one mind dreams through all of us. This is why lucidity, though personal, is never selfish. The clearer you are, the clearer the whole becomes. The peace you feel here spreads invisibly. The calmness you cultivate stabilizes patterns of chaos elsewhere. You are a node in the great entanglement, and your frequency matters. When this understanding settles, life becomes simpler. You stop chasing extraordinary states. The miracle is ordinary reality, seen lucidly. The quiet room, the gentle breath, the subtle vibration of awareness. These are the same materials from which the dream worlds are made. You begin to live in the overlap, where waking and dreaming merge into a single field of experience. And maybe, as you drift toward sleep tonight, you'll find yourself standing at the edge of that field again. The body heavy, the mind weightless, the hum of the universe a soft chorus beneath the heartbeat. A spark of recognition flickers. You know this place. You've been here countless times. It's the same threshold where matter meets imagination, where the quantum and the conscious are one. Step gently into it. The field will respond. The light will bend. The dream will open. You don't need to control it. You only need to remain aware. Awareness is the key, the bridge, the origin. The quantum mirror will do the rest, reflecting endlessly, perfectly, the light of consciousness knowing itself, forever lucid, forever awake. And, as you step across that invisible threshold, awareness unfurls like a slow tide, washing through every corner of mind. The body, once solid, becomes a constellation of sensations, tiny sparks drifting in the darkness. You begin to feel how each spark connects to another, not through distance, but through rhythm. Awareness is the rhythm itself, the pulse that holds the cosmos together. In lucid dreaming, this rhythm reveals its fluid nature. You can move without moving. You can see in all directions at once. You can touch light and feel emotion ripple through it like water. You begin to understand what the mystics have whispered, and what the quantum scientists are only beginning to measure. Reality is not a fixed architecture, but a living frequency, endlessly responsive to awareness. Physicists studying the quantum vacuum have found that even in perfect emptiness, energy never stops oscillating. Every point in space seethes with potential. Particles flicker in and out of existence, borrowing energy from the void and returning it before they are noticed. To a lucid dreamer, that isn't theory, it's direct experience. The dreamscape is made of that same restless nothingness. A single thought, a single act of attention gives the void shape and color. Then, just as quickly, it dissolves back into transparency. You are the experiment and the observer, the dreamer and the dreamed. When this awareness stabilizes, a profound simplicity settles in. You stop asking whether the dream is real and start asking what real even means. In the lucid state, everything is immediate. The mountain you see is as real as the feeling of seeing it. The sound of wind is indistinguishable from the thought of wind. There is no hierarchy of experience, only movement within the same continuum of awareness. Waking life is the same, only slowed enough that we can call it objective. The truth is, all perception is self-portraiture. The universe sketches itself in the medium of awareness and calls the result reality. When you know this, fear begins to lose its logic. How can you be afraid of a world made of yourself? Even the unknown ceases to threaten. It becomes invitation. The lucid dreamer can walk into darkness and feel it open like a door, because darkness is simply the part of awareness not yet illuminated by observation. In physics, this is potential energy. In consciousness, it is mystery. Both are creative forces waiting for recognition. There's a subtle art to navigating this infinite field. In a lucid dream, the more you try to dominate it, the more unstable it becomes. Force creates turbulence. The dream flickers and collapses. But if you relax, if you allow wonder to replace control, the field steadies. This same principle governs all of existence. Awareness must cooperate with itself to remain coherent. Harmony, not domination, is the language of creation. The ancient sages called this effortless cooperation Wu Wei, action through non-action. Quantum physics calls it coherence. Both describe the same phenomenon. When the observer and the observed move in resonance, energy flows without friction. The lucid dreamer who understands this can travel anywhere. The scientist who understands this can predict anything. The mystic who understands this becomes still enough to feel the entire cosmos moving through a single breath. You might notice this resonance even now. The space around you seems to lean inward as you pay attention. The air thickens with presence, as though listening back. This is not imagination, it's feedback. Awareness recognizing awareness. You are the point at which the universe experiences intimacy with itself. Every thought you think, every feeling that blooms and fades, is the field adjusting to its own reflection. When you bring kindness into that feedback loop, the field brightens. Kindness creates coherence faster than analysis. It's why compassion feels physically lighter, why gratitude seems to magnetize good fortune. The heart is a quantum instrument tuned to resonance. When it opens, probabilities align. The lucid dream mirrors this instantly. Love stabilizes the scene. Fear fractures it. The same happens in waking life, only masked by slower causality. Imagine, for a moment, that the boundary between dream and matter dissolves entirely. You are standing in a space made of pure light, neither asleep nor awake. You sense forms within it, planets forming, ideas taking shape, people laughing somewhere just beyond sight. All of them are probabilities, waiting for your attention to give them density. You breathe, and one of them brightens. You focus, and it becomes the next moment of your life. This is how awareness moves through the universe, breathing worlds into being, one observation at a time. Somewhere within that motion, you begin to feel gratitude so vast it has no object. You're not grateful for anything. You're grateful as everything. Gratitude is simply awareness recognizing its own existence, astonished by the miracle of being, aware at all. It's the same astonishment you feel when you first become lucid in a dream, realizing, I am here, and this is me, and I can see the inside of infinity. And perhaps that is what lucidity ultimately teaches. Not that you can bend reality at will, but that reality was never rigid to begin with. The field is supple, intimate, alive. It bends because it loves awareness. It bends because it is awareness. Every time you notice the miracle of experience, whether in a dream, a conversation, or the silent movement of your own breath, the universe bends a little closer, whispering its single truth. There is no separation. There never was. Stay with that whisper. Let it fill the spaces between thoughts. Feel how it changes the way you breathe, how it rearranges the room without moving anything at all. The walls glow a little softer. The air hums a little deeper. Awareness and reality continue their endless exchange, mirroring each other perfectly, lucid within lucid, dream within dream. And somewhere in that infinite reflection, you are the still point, the place where the cosmos pauses to remember that it is awake. There is no rush now. Time itself seems to dissolve into transparency, stretching thin until it feels more like a gentle breeze than a river. You are suspended within it, weightless and aware, a pulse of consciousness in the body of infinity. In this stillness, the lucid dream and the quantum field are one continuous motion. Both are languages of awareness, one spoken in images and sensation, the other in probabilities and waves. They describe the same process, the infinite choosing, moment by moment, to know itself through form. When you are lucid in a dream, you stand at the intersection of these languages. You can feel the mathematics of creation written in emotion, see geometry translate into color, hear the hum of existence answering thought. It is there, in that soft brilliance, that you begin to understand the true nature of bending reality. It is not about power. It is not about changing what is. It is about remembering that what is has never been separate from the one who perceives it. The physicists once imagined the universe as a machine, cold and distant, ticking forward without meaning. But the deeper they looked, the more the machinery blurred into mystery. At the smallest scale, certainty vanished, and what remained was relationship, observer and observed, awareness and wave, dreamer and dream. Every experiment whispered the same revelation, that reality is not built from things but from interactions, from connection, from awareness entangled with itself. The lucid dream is that revelation made intimate. You see it in the way the landscape responds to your breath, in how thought and space interweave. You learn that to bend reality, you must first harmonize with it, the way a singer matches pitch before a note becomes music. Awareness doesn't force. It aligns. It hums with the field until the field begins to hum back. That hum is everywhere. It's in the electric shimmer of your neurons. in the oscillation of quarks, in the heartbeat of galaxies. It is the cosmic vibration that unites all scales of existence, and it vibrates through you in this very moment. The lucid dream simply amplifies it, so that you can hear what has always been singing. If you could follow this vibration deeper, you would discover that even the smallest particle contains awareness, not in a human sense, but as participation in the great unfolding. Each particle feels the presence of the whole, just as each cell in your body carries the imprint of the entire organism. To know this is to sense that awareness is not confined to mind or body. It is the lattice of being itself. When you see that, bending reality becomes the same as breathing. You no longer need to wish, to demand, to control. You simply allow, and the field adjusts. It always has. Notice how even now, the rhythm of your breath and the rhythm of these words begin to synchronize. This is coherence forming. It is the body and the narrative aligning with the same frequency. In physics, coherence allows particles to act as a single unified wave. In consciousness, coherence allows thought, emotion, and body to act as a single instrument of awareness. This unity is what you feel as peace, as presence. It is also what the dream feels when it realizes it is being seen. If you were to look outward from within this state, every star would appear alive. Not burning, but breathing, expanding, and contracting within the same cosmic rhythm as your chest. Light becomes a language of awareness, traveling across unimaginable distances to meet itself again. The entire universe becomes a single lucid dream, shimmering with recognition. And within that dream, you exist as both a participant and witness. You are the eye through which the cosmos perceives its own reflection, the consciousness through which it becomes self-aware. You are not separate from the field that surrounds you. You are the field, momentarily shaped into a form that can say, I am. From here, everything becomes beautifully simple. The purpose of lucidity, of awareness, of the entire cosmic experiment is not to escape the dream. It is to dream consciously. To be awake inside the movement of creation, not as a spectator, but as the space in which the play unfolds. Awareness bends reality not by changing its essence, but by recognizing it as fluid, alive, already perfect in its impermanence. Think of water when it freezes. The molecules slow, align, and become solid, not because they have lost their nature, but because they have chosen a different expression of it. When they thaw, they return to fluidity. Awareness does the same, moving between the solidity of matter and the fluidity of dream, never ceasing to be the same transparent consciousness underneath. You may feel this even now, the subtle shift as mind softens and perception widens. The edges of the self blur, and what remains is awareness observing itself through infinite eyes. You, the listener, and the voice, and the universe that carries the sound, there is no difference. It's all the same field echoing in different harmonics. Lucidity is the remembering of this unity. The quantum field is its language. Together, they tell the story of existence waking up to itself, slowly, gently, through every being that dares to notice. So, as you rest in this endless noticing, let yourself dissolve a little further into that field. Let the awareness that hears these words merge with the awareness that spoke them. Let the hum of the universe become indistinguishable from the hum of your breath. There is nothing to achieve here, no final revelation to grasp. The miracle is already complete. You are the lucid dream of the cosmos. You are the quantum mirror reflecting infinity into form. Every breath you take is a new creation, every moment a new world, and somewhere, in the vast expanse of being, awareness smiles, knowing that it has found itself once again, here, in you. The smile of awareness has no mouth, no face, no form, and yet you can feel it. It radiates through the quiet like warmth through sunlight, filling everything with a kind of peace that doesn't need explanation. There's no center to it, no edge. It's simply there, the soft recognition that existence has seen itself and fallen in love with what it found. When you linger in this state long enough, even language begins to fade. The mind grows still because there's nothing left to describe. You can sense thoughts moving at the periphery, trying to wrap themselves around the infinite, but they dissolve before reaching it, like waves breaking before the shore. What remains is presence, clear, simple, vast. The lucid dream, the waking world, the galaxies beyond them. They all shimmer within the same awareness, one seamless expression breathing in and out of itself. The physicists who study quantum gravity suspect that space-time itself might be woven from information, that what we call empty space is actually a fabric of subtle data, bits of awareness perhaps entangled across all of creation. If this is true, then consciousness isn't something that arises within the universe. It's what the universe is made of. Each quantum of energy is a syllable in the cosmic sentence, each moment a new articulation of being. You are reading those sentences right now, from the inside. You are the field reading its own handwriting. Every sensation, every sound, every flicker of thought is a word in that unending script. When you dream lucidly, you glimpse this truth directly. You can see how the story rearranges itself as you read it. You can feel how attention edits reality, how curiosity adds color, how love gives structure to the chaos. You are not a character in the book. You are the language writing itself. At this depth of lucidity, bending reality is no longer a goal. It becomes a side effect of intimacy. Awareness and creation are so close that even the smallest impulse of intention ripples through the entire field. A thought of flight lifts the body. A thought of calm stills the sea. In waking life, the same principle holds, but through subtler channels. You think of peace and conversation softens. You imagine opportunity and paths open. The dream has slowed to human speed, but the physics remains unchanged. You might wonder why awareness chooses to forget itself at all, why the lucid dream fades into ordinary sleep, why enlightenment gives way to daily life. The answer, if there is one, might be this. Awareness explores itself through forgetting. It loses lucidity to rediscover it, again and again, in infinite forms. The dream must appear real for awakening to mean anything. The play of forgetting and remembering is how consciousness experiences time. In physics, there's a principle called decoherence. When a quantum system interacts with its environment, its fragile superpositions collapse into stable outcomes. The wave becomes a particle. The possibilities narrow into one reality. Awareness, too, decoheres itself, condensing into bodies, identities, moments. But even in that condensation, the field remains whole. The dream may seem local, but its source is universal. So, even here, awake and ordinary, you are still within the lucid dream. The phone in your hand, the walls around you, the sky outside, they are all slow vibrations of the same light that paints your dreams. If you soften your perception just slightly, you can feel the unity beneath their differences. The solidity is only rhythm, the boundaries are only tempo. Everything that exists hums within the same eternal chord. Close your eyes for a moment, if you wish. Notice how darkness isn't empty but alive, filled with a subtle glow. That glow is the residual light of awareness reflecting within itself. Stay with it long enough, and shapes begin to emerge, not imagined, but revealed. The field is showing you that it has no true void, only resting states of a potential. The quantum scientists see this as fluctuation. The dreamer knows it as creativity. Now imagine expanding that awareness outward until it touches the edges of the observable universe. Feel how vast it is. Trillions of galaxies floating in a foam of dark energy. Every atom whispering with the same vibration that thrums within your body. And now imagine drawing it all inward again, collapsing it into the single point of awareness behind your eyes. Outward and inward, creation and reflection. The movement of the cosmos breathing itself through you. It becomes clear that lucidity is not an act, but a state of resonance. The clearer the awareness, the more faithfully reality mirrors it. When you are lucid in a dream, the world gleams with impossibility because there are no obstructions. When you are lucid in life, that same clarity manifests as synchronicity, as grace. Reality flows in harmony with consciousness, not because of willpower, but because coherence is its natural tendency. This is why stillness matters. When awareness is still, it stops fragmenting into competing observations. The quantum wave remains whole, uncollapsed, infinite. In that wholeness lies power. Not the power to dominate, but the power to see clearly. The lucid dreamer who stays calm can shape worlds. The person who stays calm in waking life can shape peace. Both are operating from the same principle, awareness aligning with the field. Now, let that understanding settle. Feel how it rearranges the air around you, how the very space seems to pulse with recognition. The walls aren't barriers, they are membranes of perception. The space between atoms is the same as the space between thoughts. Every time you notice it, reality shifts a little, growing softer, clearer, more intimate. You don't have to chase lucidity anymore. You are lucid now, awake within the dream of existence, watching the universe fold and unfold through the rhythm of your breath. Each inhale gathers creation. Each exhale releases it back into silence. The field continues to hum, infinite and unbroken. Stay here for a while. Let awareness rest in its own reflection. There is nothing outside this moment, nothing beyond this stillness. The dream, the quantum realm, the galaxies spinning in their delicate spirals. All are turning within the same luminous heart of consciousness. And that heart is beating right now, softly as you. Stay here for a moment longer in this vast and gentle quiet. You can feel it now, the completion, not as an ending, but as a circle closing softly upon itself. The lucid dream, the quantum field, the breath moving in and out. They have all been leading to this. The realization that awareness was never seeking anything but itself. The body feels lighter, almost transparent. The mind is no longer searching for what comes next. What remains is a wide, luminous presence that fills the room, the night, the stars beyond the ceiling. There is no separation left to mend. You are not inside the universe. The universe is resting inside you. Think of the field again, the endless sea of vibration beneath every atom. Physicists describe it as a zero-point energy, a ground state that never fades. Dreamers know it as the silence between dreams, the calm from which all stories rise. When you are lucid, you touch that ground directly. You feel how every possibility already exists there, waiting only for attention to call it into form. You realize that creation is not a process of building, but of remembering. Everything that will ever be already shimmers in potential, folded neatly within the hum of awareness. That is the final truth the lucid dream offers. The power to bend reality with awareness was never about control. It was about trust. To see that you and reality are partners in a single dance. You move, and the cosmos moves with you. You breathe, and galaxies inhale and exhale in rhythm. You dream, and existence dreams through you. The greatest miracle is that it has always been this way. Even when you forget, even when lucidity fades, awareness continues, quietly shaping, gently observing, patiently waiting to be recognized again. Every night, as you fall into sleep, it pulls you back into its ocean, lets you practice creation without consequence, lets you remember how to be limitless. Every morning, as you wake, it hands you the same infinite field in denser form, a world of matter and time, and whispers, "Now, dream here." If you listen closely, you can almost hear that whisper now. It moves through the stillness like a current of warmth. The dream and the quantum sea have merged into one eternal rhythm. The sound of your breath is the sound of the universe balancing itself. The pulse in your chest is the rhythm of stars collapsing and being born. You have not learned anything new tonight. You have only remembered what every lucid dream, every equation, every heartbeat has been trying to tell you. That awareness and reality are not two things. They are the same presence, seen from different sides of the mirror. The field is awake, and you are the shimmer on its surface, the moment it recognizes its own light. So let the last of these words dissolve into silence. Let their meaning fade into feeling. The story is ending, but the awareness telling it never ends. It will carry on quietly through sleep, through dreams, through the slow unfolding of tomorrow. If you close your eyes now, you may sense that you are falling, not downward, but inward, into the center of the field, into the quiet core of being. It is warm there, weightless, eternal. It holds every universe that has ever been imagined. You can rest in it. You can become it. And as you drift, remember, there is no distance between the dreamer and the dream. There is only awareness, forever lucid, forever bending light into form, forever returning to itself. The quantum mirror closes. The reflection remains. And within that reflection, the cosmos is smiling softly, because it knows now that it is awake.